let's make a list of everybody we don't want invited to my funeral.
The ending of Veep took a pause from the near-constant laughs of the last 7 seasons.
It's like a Rubik's Cube. I mean, it's impossible at this point.
What, Mike? A Rubik's Cube is not impossible to solve.
To highlight the tragedy that's always been lurking within one of TV's finest modern comedies. The final episode flashed forward to look at how Selina Meyer's presidency will be summarized in the history books, and the results are less than impressive.
Meyer is fondly remembered for briefly freeing what was once known as the Nation of Tibet, as well as for permanently overturning same-sex marriage.
In this final episode, we witness Selina's realization of her ultimate truest self as she fully becomes the unstoppable, soulless monster she's always had the potential to be. To at last be ready to take the presidency, the prize she's chased all along.
Why is this so hard? I just want to be president.
She must complete her transformation into selfishness embodied.
What the are you?
So beyond all the jokes, the end of Selina's story is a warning that if you stand for nothing but yourself, if you have no principle you won't abandon and no person you won't sell out, then your legacy will be no legacy at all. Most importantly, Veep's ending urges us, don't give up your Gary.
And you are a lifesaver.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Don't sacrifice your soul and the people who get you and accept you as you are. Otherwise, even the greatest victory will feel like a loss. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified about all of our new videos.
Stay here with us, Ben.
I don't know the names of any of the floor whips.
The final episode bears the show's own title, Veep, and it reminds us of where Selina started out.
Sue, did the president call? No.
When we were first introduced to her as vice president, she was the epitome of ineffectiveness and insignificance.
What have I been missing here? Power.
And at times, the finale seems like it's setting up a circular ending for the show.
Ma'am, all due respect, maybe you should consider being her Veep.
In classic black comedy style, where the characters' efforts to better their lives are futile.
It is a fate worse than death.
At other points, the episode seems about to conclude with her defeat, her political death.
You don't have a political future, Selina. That is your punishment.
And this would be a punishment the character has probably earned many times over.
I honestly think I might be in hell.
But as Selina keeps insisting, everyone has underestimated her.
Face to face, I can convince anyone of anything.
That's not true.
Incorrect.
You're both wrong.
Well, you're right.
Her belief in her own potential is justified, but that's not actually a good thing, because the source of Selina's relentless strength is that she will do literally whatever it takes.
What did you offer her?
I didn't offer her anything. I mean, I helped her with the wording.
There is no bottom to how low she will go in her moral degradation, no limit to how shamelessly she will betray her principles, if she had any to begin with.
I will never forgive you.
Oh, well, if I had $1 for every mother I will never forgive you.
Bazillionaire.
Correct.
As Ben enters the hospital for his umpteenth heart attack,
You're my hatchet man. You're the hatchet man.
he's implicitly compared to some kind of very hard-to-kill demon.
My first congressional race, Ben can't have been more than 140 years old.
And just when all looks to be lost,
Tom James.
Kent says he'll take it on tomorrow night's ballot.
this ancient evil force channeled in Ben helps Selina to pull herself out of the pit, even stronger than before.
Don't be an idiot, Selina. You know exactly what to do.
No. Yeah.
She steels herself to rise up from this perceived demise and be reborn as the stone-cold villain she knows she has within her.
You monster!
And from there, Selina does what it takes to win. She must play every card she's been dealt. She lays waste to every relationship left in her life, and this is where we arrive at the key word in this finale: sacrifice.
Finally, I wanted to say a word about sacrifice. It means to lose something for the greater good.
Sacrifice is traditionally used to mean giving up or losing something for the sake of another person or a cause you serve.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
But Selena's version of sacrifice is a devilish inversion of that. She will sacrifice everything and everyone else for herself.
Tell me that you did not just trade away same-sex marriage to get Buddy Calhoun's endorsement.
When she says,
There is no one who has sacrificed more than me.
this is actually true in a sense. She gets to be president by trading, destroying, or offering up absolutely everything of value she once had. And as she finishes up,
And there's nothing anyone can do to stop me from standing and walking for my country.
that comic pause
To stop me.
means everything. There's nothing anyone can do to stop this black hole of ambition from sucking all the good out of its surrounding environment.
I'm going to take 2 more lines from your speech, okay? Here, okay?
That's about me waking up in a hospital bed in Kabul after the IED attack.
To serve no other purpose than its own enlargement. So we see the opposite of the saying, may the best man or woman win, at play here. Selena wins very explicitly by proving she is the worst.
I will outlaw same-sex marriage. Governor, can I get an amen?
And that makes Jonah, who becomes Veep, only the second worst, which says something about what Selena has become.
I didn't mean like gay, or like this guy and his husband are gay. I meant gay like mentally retarded.
Selena has always been a picture of total self-centeredness.
Oh my God, that is so great for me.
And the country?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But for a long time, she was so far from real influence that her egotistic pursuits only affected those in her inner circle. What changes over the course of these 7 seasons is that Selena gets a taste of power, develops a bottomless thirst for it, and starts to understand how to get more. This politician who begins trying to push cornstarch utensils becomes the kind of person who orders drone attacks on weddings.
So I droned a couple wedding civilians on the wrong side of the AFPAC border.
Appears only briefly upset when she believes she accidentally ordered her ex-husband's death.
I'm so sorry.
He was my ex-husband.
And views a mass shooting as good news because it helps cover up her latest mess.
This can work for us?
Yes, because we couldn't possibly announce now out of respect for the victims.
In fitting Veep fashion, though, being a supervillain doesn't equal being a super genius.
Ma'am, we're in Cedar Rapids.
No!
This is supposed to be new, Selena!
Now!
She remains mediocre through and through, surrounded by incompetence.
God damn it, we can't even commit treason, right?
This woman has the chance to be remembered for something momentous.
Even you would admit that freeing Tibet from Chinese rule was a monumental achievement.
Yes, it was.
Yet she turns around and gives that up without a real moment's thought.
You can have Tibet.
What?
Selena gives up everything meaningful in her life in order to get what she wants right now, instead of waiting until she can achieve her goals in the right way.
Tibet's lamas would certainly be imprisoned and tortured in the most vicious ways imaginable. Shall we scroll ahead, please?
And in doing so, betrays her country in countless brazen, explicit ways.
You know, the Chinese are ready to fix this whole damn election if I can be the nominee.
No, that is the plan.
And this leads to a life that's a joke all the way to the end.
And it looks like the soldiers are having a little trouble. They're fumbling around the crypt, but they cannot seem to get it to respond in any way.
Her news coverage is quickly overshadowed by a report of Tom Hanks' death.
I'm sorry. Breaking news. I've just been told that 4-time Academy Award-winning actor Tom Hanks has died at the age of 88.
In a moment that pays off a setup from the first episode, when Mike, then working for Selena, hopes her latest gaffe will be knocked out of the news cycle.
What if Tom Hanks dies?
What?
Dark thought. I'm not wishing that. I'm saying anything could happen.
So the finale leaves us with a moral about the stupidity of total selfishness and compromise, as Selena's willingness to bargain away her soul proves short-sighted.
You have just admitted to being a war criminal.
Do they give Nobel Peace Prizes to war criminals, Minna?
All the time. And also, the prize that you pick, it is not the Peace Prize. It is a second-tier Peace Prize.
No.
It is made of very hard plastic.
She becomes a forgettable one-term president who made zero positive impact, who undid the one major achievement of her life in exchange for getting elected. And what is the point of even going to all that trouble if this is what you leave behind?
You have achieved nothing. Apart from one thing. The fact that you are a woman means we will have no more women presidents. Because we tried one and she sucked.
Somebody's got to go down for this, Selena.
I just said, I know, Roger.
However many people and principles Selena throws under the bus, there is one sacrifice that's truly hard for her to make.
It's not easy.
Okay.
It's kind of also not fair.
Selena may have been planning to frame her bagman, Gary Walsh, to be the fall guy for the Meyer Fund's financial misdeeds for a while, or at least giving herself that option.
Faith-based initiative just raised $25 million.
Wow.
Yet, in the moment when she loses Gary, we see that this one really does cost her. Her line,
Couldn't have done it without you.
repeats what she once said to Catherine.
I couldn't have done it without you.
But here, for once, she's genuine. Selena's and Gary's codependent relationship has long been a showcase for her narcissism.
You have plenty to live for, too. Of course. Next year, you get to go to my library opening, and you get to buy my book.
And totally unreasonable behavior as a boss.
Gary!
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I need something.
Okay, is there anything specific?
I don't know, I just need something.
As well as one of the show's best sources of comedy.
What was that? What just happened?
He was gonna sneeze on you and I blocked it.
Yet, as much as she's failed to appreciate Gary,
Do you want 6 almonds?
No!
he's the person who completes her life. As Julia Louis-Dreyfus put it, Selena is comfortable with Gary, which is significant, and somewhat made uncomfortable by the fact that she's comfortable with him.
So
To
good.
make America.
Very good place.
Nope, don't finish my sentences.
I thought that's where you were going.
You don't know where I'm going.
To the White House.
Selena doesn't like the idea that Gary is the kind of person someone like her is attached to.
What do you think you are? Gary Antoinette? Did somebody make you First Lady? You are unimportant.
But when it comes down to it, he's the only person she actually likes being around.
Do my eyes look puffy to you?
I'm surprised they let you run for president because you look 34 tops.
Yeah. Marjorie, you're out.
Gary is her soulmate.
I'm next to the Veep more than any other human being. You are distantly orbiting her. I'm her moon.
So when she finally gets the job she's been pining for, but he's not there, it's unsatisfying.
Palestinian food riots?
Reminds me I'm starving. Gary?
Oh, ma'am, Gary doesn't work here.
I know.
As she sits alone in the seat of power in the Oval Office, we can feel how not fun it is for her to be president without Gary.
But
Okay.
I would be more than happy to get you something to eat. What would you like?
You figure that out.
Okay,
Why am
good.
I coming up with solutions for you?
It turns out that his lifelong commitment to reading her mind is not an easily replaceable skill.
You okay, ma'am?
Oh, I'd love one, Gary. Thank you.
Okay, I'll get you one.
In the finale, she has to ask for her glasses, at which point Michelle runs off to find them. A moment that alludes to the first episode when Gary gives her glasses without having to be asked.
Here's your glasses.
And she decides not to wear them.
No, glasses make me look weak.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like a wheelchair for the eye.
Gary's fixation on the perfect lipstick in the finale
All right, are you ready for the Dubonnet?
might also remind us of a previous episode.
It's just, I can't find her lipstick.
In the finale, when he brings the Dubonnet to her funeral,
You'd hate the flowers, but I brought the Dubonnet.
the gesture confirms that, despite her betrayal, he remained the one person who loved her all these years.
You look beautiful.
However peculiar and embarrassing their connection was,
Okay, let's not do that again, all right?
the fact that Selena turned her back on this love of her life of sorts
You know, I heard she never visited him.
underlines that she did sacrifice all of the fun and joy in her life to get to her destination. The irony is that Selena's obsession with power is largely driven by a deep-rooted desire to be worshipped and adored.
We're gonna have to lose those huge photos of me. I know, they're great photos, I know, but there's no way we can have
It's a good idea. We don't want to look like
Stalin.
Yet she throws away the only source of total veneration and reverence she'll ever know.
First lady hates you because you're prettier.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about right now, okay?
In the Oval Office, Selena goes to repeat her line from the first episode.
The level of incompetence in this office is staggering.
But by the time she gets to the end,
The level of incompetence in this office is just...
she's alone. All of her longtime employees are gone, and that's sad because even if she didn't realize it and generally felt they weren't good enough, those were the closest things she had to friends.
Go, Gary!
Well done, buddy.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
You got it?
Yes, I did.
Wow, Gary.
Likewise, Selena's influence appears to have ensured miserable futures for all those from her original inner circle, as over the years, they harden into their most cynical, disillusioned selves. Earlier in the season, Amy gets pregnant and briefly entertains the idea of keeping the baby.
I'm thinking of having this baby, and I'm not asking anything of you, literally nothing, but I do want the baby to know that you're the father.
But her circle finds this so ridiculous.
Ma'am, I'm pregnant.
And Dan is such a terrible prospective father.
I just don't know if I'm ready to be a daddy to anyone who's not a sexy boho jewelry maker struggling to pay off her college loans, you know?
That she gives up on this secret dream. In the flash forward, we find out she married Bill Erickson.
We didn't have kids. Best decision we ever made.
Best. Our greyhounds are our kids.
Considering we saw she did want a family, this moment of overcompensating points to a subtly tragic end for Amy. The early season set up the romantic tension between Amy and Dan in classic will they or won't they fashion.
I thought we agreed to move on.
Move on from what? We dated for like a week. It was like getting over mild food poisoning.
Look, Amy, I'm genuinely sorry that my arrival here has caused you to become so self-conscious.
But the show doesn't go there. Dan is reinforced as a total skis, forever chasing young women.
Did we...
Oh, no. I'm an OBGYN. You brought a woman into my clinic to have her pregnancy terminated.
Could you be a little more specific?
While in the distant future, Amy's barb about his younger wife,
The last time I saw you, your wife was being born.
suggests she's still in love with him. And we might infer that being hung up on this total jerk for so long ruined Amy's life. More fundamentally though, her lack of fulfillment comes out of her relationship with Selena.
And you've always been kind of like a sister to me.
More like a childless aunt.
Despite Amy's years of painful, loyal service, Selena won't forgive her protege's rebellion.
I don't like the way you talked to me the other day.
And punishes Amy by closing the door on her. She replaces Amy with another young woman who traded Selena something she needed in the crucial moment, instead of appreciating the great amount of time Amy devoted to her.
I've not mentioned in this book until page 134. I once dry shaved that woman's legs under her desk during a cabinet meeting.
I'm not in there till 2:13, and I wrote the book.
Meanwhile, when Selena chooses Jonah as her Veep, this is Kent's breaking point.
You don't have to do this.
Do the goddamn Islamic math. You're the numbers guy.
The numbers!
He turns on the numbers, which are his religion.
The most compelling number to me is not a number at all, it's a concept.
I said pretend, okay?
I was pretending. My favorite number is Euler's number.
And he's so broken, he leaves politics for good.
My daughter's stepping down from NASA to take over the ranch so I can focus on my watchmaking.
Then there's Selena's biggest victim.
You're in therapy? Since when?
Since I was 13.
Well, what you really needed was a dermatologist.
The poor daughter who was born into this tyrant's unjust control.
Catherine, I think there's something wrong with your microphone, honey, because your voice sounds very whiny.
The fact that Catherine falls in love with her mother's body double signifies that the daughter has some mommy issues, to say the least.
Okay, mommy has to go. Mommy has to go. Sorry, Catherine. Mommy's here.
In Marjorie, Catherine finds a correction, a version of her mother who is stable, loving, and supportive.
I told her her eyes looked puffy.
Thank you, Chipmunk.
After Selena trades away same-sex marriage for votes, she and Catherine presumably become estranged.
So what did the Palestinians do this time? David, I have to tell you, my daughter Catherine was exactly the same way, a whiner.
And it's only when her mother at last dies
There are few things in life more difficult than the loss of a parent.
Who wants margaritas?
that this beaten-down woman can start living her life.
What did I miss?
Yet, this traditionally cynical show buries an optimistic message in its ending too, through the leaders who follow Selena. It offers hope that if we leave behind Selena's dirty, opportunistic style of politics, the ultimate future of our country can still be bright.
America owes me an 8-year stay in the White House, and this time I want a war.
Yes!
Okay, just put down something about how I want to give the American people a better deal or some crap like that.
It's very Kennedy-esque.
Hi guys, it's Susanna and Deborah, and we are The Take. If you like what we're doing and you're new here, please subscribe.
And if you have the means and you want to, please consider supporting us on Patreon.
And there's also a new feature here on YouTube where you can hit that join button and become a member right here.
Thank you so much for watching.